I am a graphic designer. Really? Which software do you use? Canva. Isn't that just hilarious? The joke here is that if you use Canva, you're not a real graphic designer. Wow. Adobe good, Canva bad. Why Canva bad? Because Adobe is the industry standard. Why is Adobe the industry standard? Because Adobe is the industry standard. No further questions. But is Canva really that bad? What about Affinity? What about Microsoft Publisher? Do I really need to spend 80 Australian dollars a month on a program that crashes on me with every new update when I could just spend that money on iced lattes instead? I saw this video by the channel Emerald. Go give it a watch. It's in the bio. It's fantastic. While watching, I realized that the game design and graphic design industries are shockingly similar. They both offer an abundance of program choices and even more of an abundance of opinions on which program is the best. So I'm going to design a poster in every single program I can get my greedy hands on and finally decide which program takes the crown. My name is Elliot, and what we are doing is what I just described. That was the intro. That is what we... Adobe Photoshop is my bread and butter, so it seemed only fitting to start here. This would be the blueprint, the poster that the following posters would look to replicate. I ended up with a simple text and frame poster with a few small touches to complete the composition. I figured making the exact same poster in every program would not only be boring for you, but for me as well. So I decided that the header text would be the name of the program and the frame would be a graphic designed entirely using whatever features the program could offer me. In the case of Photoshop, this was one of my classic Elliot gradient warps, a cheeky homage to the first video I uploaded on this channel. I started with some layers of paintbrushed colors and then experimented with the warp tool, noise filter, and blending modes to get a design I was happy with. How am I going to do this in Canva? Photoshop is great. I didn't learn Illustrator for years because of how good Photoshop is. If you spend enough time in it, you can pretty much design anything any other program can. I'm also really biased towards it and generally a stubborn person. The world hadn't seen anything like Canva before it was founded, I think. I'm pretty sure it was the first online template-based design program. I think. A lot of the programs I'll be designing with later in the video are clearly inspired by Canva's revolutionary model. Accessible, free, and filled with assets, these programs threw out the intimidation of the blank canvas and immediately lowered the barrier of entry to design. This is a good thing. I really like Canva, and I think it gets too much hate for no reason, but it definitely feels less taboo than it did a few years back. I mean, it's free. That's great. I've used Canva a few times in the past, so I found it easy to pick up again with the only main challenge being the feature graphic. Here we go. Aura energy backgrounds. How about this? I kind of feel like I'm cheating this. The program obviously has its limitations. It was never intended to offer its users the ability to design completely from scratch and instead offers templates and assets aplenty. These are good fonts. A fine selection in general. So I threw together a couple of gradient blobs layered with different blending modes and got a result that felt somewhat unique. Pretty happy with how it turned out. Spending most of our lives living in the Canva paradise. Okay, hear me out for a second. If you took two buckets and labeled them Adobe and Canva, you could separate every program I will mention in this video into those two buckets. The Adobe bucket will be blank canvas, hard to master, flexible programs, and the Canva bucket will be filled with template-built, stock asset abundant, cloud-based programs. These are two very different buckets, and they serve very different purposes, and I think it's important to distinguish between the two. It feels silly to compare Photoshop and Canva when they offer such different things for designers. So I'll try and compare Adobe programs to similar programs and Canva with other cloud-based programs as we go on. It's something to think about going forward into this video. Or maybe not. I really don't know. I'm just trying to sound smart. Illustrator is a vector-based design program under the Adobe Creative Cloud umbrella. We love this program. This is the graphic designer's graphic designer. What? Unlike Photoshop, a raster-based program, you can scale pretty much anything in Illustrator to be as big or as small as you want without losing quality. That's what vector means. Perfect for logo design and other types of design that I can't think of, but definitely logo design. I've learned to love Illustrator over the years. I don't really need to design with vectors since most of my work gets uploaded online where it is compressed to hell and back anyway, but the program is definitely made for graphic design. With the amount of Illustrator tips posted everywhere, I feel like I will never truly understand the power of this software. It is deep. I used the gradient mesh tool to create the feature graphic for this poster. Not my favorite tool in the world, but it gives you a lot more options for customization than doing it all rasterized. You can individually change the color of each little node while maintaining the rest of the image. God, that looks really nice. Look at that texture. That's a sandstone texture. The rest of the composition was easy as expected. CorelDRAW is a vector-based design program that is widely considered to be a premier graphic design software. I, unfortunately, have no clue how to use CorelDRAW. I'm so used to Adobe layouts and shortcuts that some of these programs were so much more difficult than they needed to be. Like, CorelDRAW looks familiar at a glance, but I was lost immediately.
I'm starting to think this video was a terrible idea. It's a free trial. I lose access to CorelDRAW in 16 days.
I can definitely see the potential of CorelDRAW, and I might have had more luck trying the Photoshop alternative, Corel Photo Paint. But yeah, it just didn't click for me. The main graphic is a bit of a mess, but I had some fun experimenting with all the different brushes it offers. Microsoft Excel is... Hang on. This isn't a graphic design for... Oh, what? Hang on. Yep. Oh, yep. I forgot. I forgot this was an Elliot video. Ah, that's funny. You know those two buckets I was mentioning before, the Adobe and the Canva one? Well, there's a third bucket that I forgot to mention. The silly bucket. I think this will make for a more interesting and funny video. Microsoft Excel is a design program for spreadsheets and other math things. I have friends who use it to track weekly expenses and other math things. I only just learned how to calculate the sum of a column of numbers in Excel the other day, among other math things. But Excel has quite a few design tools on offer. You can fill in and merge cells to create blocks of color and get a general sense of composition.
Actually, it looks like we can import 3D models directly into this graph here. So I've gone ahead and added this emoji, and then I can actually rotate that around, which is genuinely amazing to me.
Thank you for including Excel in this video, Elliot. I was very curious. That's what you say, and I say, no worries. You're welcome. Pixlr is a cloud-based image editing software that has a bunch of different tools to offer. I used Pixlr X to make this design, which seems to be the most fleshed out tool. Pixlr works just fine. It's definitely got a focus on using existing templates and assets, but has some nice built-in effects that caught my eye. I also appreciate the layers panel and ability to hide layers, a surprisingly rare feature in the cloud-based design program world. The main graphic is nothing too fancy. It's a bunch of stock shapes and patterns layered on top of each other. I don't know, it works. I added a bit of noise and liquefied it a little too to give it something extra. I've heard this one is a fan favorite. My computer fan, that is, because it's on Cloud Pro. It's not hosted on my computer. It's hosted on a... GIMP is a free and open source raster graphics editor. It's a popular alternative to Adobe. It's been around for ages and you don't have to pay a dime to get it. Pretty sweet deal. But boy oh boy is it a different kind of beast. I sadly did not enjoy working in GIMP. I think if GIMP is all you know, you could definitely learn to master it and make some quality stuff. It's just a bit tricky is all. And by tricky, I mean I was completely lost.
And does R rotate? No, it's rectangle select. Of course it is.
The main graphic is a few built-in stamps overlaid with different blending modes. I also made sure to include the GIMP dog. God, I love that dog. Inkscape is an open source vector-based design program that absolutely blew me away. I had never heard of Inkscape until I started making this video, and I cannot stop talking about it. It has all the best parts of Illustrator with what feels like a bunch of improvements too, and a little bit of Photoshop thrown in for fun. This is a free program. It's literally free. The main graphic was made with a gradient mesh, much like the one I did in Illustrator, but the tool feels just so much smoother. It just felt right. I don't know.
How about it? Oh. Okay.
Obviously, this was only one use case, so maybe there are some downfalls. Maybe it's not that good at logo design. Maybe it crashes a lot. Maybe it's not actually free and I was just using a 7-day trial. But at the moment, I could not recommend Inkscape more. A fantastic program to start your design journey with. Seriously, like, it's really good. It feels like the Blender of graphic design. Blender is an open source desktop 3D design program. But did you know it can do more than just 3D design? Did you know you can even use it as a video editor? What the fuck? I think that is awesome, and I wanted to make a poster with it, so I did.
I really have no idea what I'm doing right now.
I used the Blender monkey head as the feature graphic and then threw a bunch of light and materials at it to make it look as 2D as possible. It actually worked, and I think this is the future of graphic design. Figma is a cloud-based design tool with a focus on collaborative design work and is currently in the process of being acquired by Adobe for $20 billion. $20 billion. Can you imagine how many iced lattes I could buy with that money? $20 billion worth. Read that again. Figma very much feels like the future of design software. Its collaborative tools are unmatched, and the amount of TikToks and Reels I see of people making absurdly detailed graphics and prototypes keeps impressing me with the potential of the program. It's currently free, and hopefully stays free, but in this economy, who bloody knows? This poster was super easy to make. Figma has some fantastic gradient tools that made the main graphic a breeze, and I used a noise plugin to get some noise texture going on. Love all the plugins. Big fan of Figma. Sketch is both a Mac app for designers and a web app for viewers reviewers of the Mac Design designs. Unfortunately, I'm not a Mac user, and since I am also a designer in this situation, I could not design anything. But it looks a lot like Figma and has a pretty sick website. I also like how you can design stuff in the app and then have it immediately available for anyone with access to the internet. That's cool. Scribus is an open source desktop publishing software. The website was down and had been down for a week. I was not able to download Scribus. I made a poster in MS Paint.
Yeah, this was awesome. This was awesome. This was great. Let's export it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Here we go. Now we're talking. I spent an hour immersed in KidPix. This was my childhood, and I imagine for a lot of you watching, it was too.
But is it a viable graphic design tool? That's what we're going to answer today.
From now on, I swear to only use programs with an undo tool that says, "Nuh-uh."
My bad.
A brush that sends off millions of zumbinis in unpredictable directions.
My heart.
And the ability to export your design in 3D. Blue-red glasses 3D, that is. This is design thinking.
Imagine if Photoshop had that tool. You've got like the worst feedback you've ever heard in your life, and they want you to completely change it, and you just need something that'll make you feel better, and you just go. That would solve all of my problems.
Welcome to what has become the #1 Adobe alternative. If you ask designers who use Adobe to recommend a cheaper but similar program, I think most of them will recommend Affinity. How many of them have actually tried Affinity? I don't think very many at all. This was the program I was most keen on trying. Does it really walk the talk? Is this the Adobe killer? Is it good? Yes, it is. It's excellent. I very much enjoyed using Affinity. If you've used Adobe programs, you'll feel right at home.
A lot of the keyboard shortcuts are the same, which is very nice.
I was using Affinity Designer, the Illustrator clone of sorts, and found it very easy to pick up. I made the feature graphic by layering some soft brushes with different blending modes and then played around with its surprisingly deep hue and saturation tool. Overall, huge fan of Affinity. I could see myself making the switch and saving a lot of money. It also just feels like it cares about me more. Does that make sense? Like I didn't even have to input my credit card details when downloading the free trial.
In fact, none of the free trials I've downloaded so far have required me to put in my card details. Only Adobe requires that.
Isn't that funny? I also imagine the Photoshop and InDesign alternatives, Affinity Photo and Publisher, are similar in quality. Give Affinity a try. My brain is so Adobe coded that I feel bad for some reason for using Affinity, like I'm not a real designer. How sad is that? It's 260 Australian for all of Affinity, a one-off payment. That's like 3 months of what I pay for Adobe. Do you know how many iced lattes? PicMonkey is a cloud-based photo editing and graphic design platform that has nothing to do with monkeys. This realization devastated me. What separates PicMonkey from the other cloud-based competition is that it is under the Shutterstock name. That means that if you have a paid plan, you get access to the Shutterstock stock image library. This is a big deal, I think. Stock imagery can make or break a design, and having access to the Shutterstock library, I mean, I see the Shutterstock watermark everywhere, so I can only imagine that is a big library. PicMonkey also has a texture tab with a bunch of, you guessed it, Shutterstock textures.
That's actually kind of cool. And then you can just go in with the blend modes and everything. Wow.
I am a huge fan of this feature. Everyone wants to make their graphics a little bit crunchier, and the texture tab gives you that power with just one click. Very innovative. When the computers die, what will we design with? I have always been a forward thinker, and nothing brings me more joy than designing on the tabula rasa, paper. I didn't have any loose paper in my apartment, so I had to tear a page out of a notebook. I used these Posca markers I bought ages ago, and that was fun. I can't draw to save myself, so this was a pleasant surprise. Adobe InDesign is a desktop publishing software used to create print and digital media materials, like posters. I'm a big fan of InDesign. If used for the right purpose, it is fantastic. Anytime I have to make something that will be a PDF, I use InDesign. It feels very different to other Adobe programs, I think due to the specific purpose it seeks to fulfill, but once you get the hang of how it works great. Also, master pages are amazing, and I wish they had them in Illustrator. It doesn't have too many tools for organic image generation, so the main graphic was a bit tricky to make, but ended up going with a simple gradient overlay design that looks pretty cool. The rest of the poster was no problem at all. I know a few poster designers who exclusively use InDesign, and you can make some really cool stuff. I just don't think it offers much for me. It is a good program though. It is a very good program. QuarkXPress is a desktop publishing software for creating and editing complex page layouts in a WYSIWYG environment. WYSIWYG, of course, is an abbreviation for what you see is what you get. Is this like an American thing? I've never heard of WYSIWYG in my life. QuarkXPress is the definition of corporate design. It's pretty much an InDesign alternative. It's built for print and physical media with a very similar toolset. Also, you have to request a 7-day free trial, and when requesting, you have to list your company's revenue. I was given access within the hour. I thanked God for this amazing opportunity I had been blessed with. I could finally access QuarkXPress and start designing in a WYSIWYG environment. I also received 2 follow-up emails within 24 hours, a LinkedIn connection, and a phone call asking me if I needed help learning the program.
I'm asking you in regards to the free trial that you
Their sales team simply goes too hard. And turns out you can't even publish anything you make in the free trial, so I can't even show you what I made. I do not understand this software, and it is absolutely not targeted at Instagram content creators. I want to put this one in the silly bucket. Do you know how to... What do you know?
Not much.
Okay.
Is that the font that we want?
We can use that font. That font's really nice.
Okay. Don't you feel like that looks really cool?
Yeah. You want to use that one?
Yeah, why not? It's very intuitive.
Can you make a square?
And I'm going to hold down Shift,
Nice.
just like PowerPoint.
What's your vision for this one?
Comic book gradient. Andy Warhol. Oh, yeah, this is exactly what I want.
Here we go.
Okay. Ooh. We're just going to work with this layer for now.
Yep.
All right.
Convert to smart object. Smart object for a smart guy.
Okay. Gaussian blows, and that's what you do.
I usually do that.
Then we'll avoid it. I'm happy with this,
Yeah.
but it needs something more.
What does it need? Yeah, there we go.
Oh no. That is incredible.
great.
That's
Great.
done.
That's
Hands
done?
off.
That's it?
Hands off.
Me
This
too.
is the best thing I made on Photoshop. So when I wear headphones, Bose headphones in particular, I get a dent in my head.
Oh, really?
I get a dent.
Welcome to Microsoft Office's forgotten sibling. Publisher is a desktop design program that I honestly think hasn't been updated in 10 years. It was also the first design program I ever used. Fun fact about me.
This will be very interesting. You can't do much in this, so let's see.
This was a real challenge to use. It feels just like Microsoft Word. Like I'm almost certain you could make everything in Publisher in Word. But Word isn't a graphic design program, so I'm going to pretend like it doesn't exist. The title was made thanks to some word art presets that still hold up to this day. You can never go wrong with word art. I used a bunch of preset shapes and gradients to make up most of the main graphic, with the only extra assets being some preset newspaper ad blocks.
I think they really tie it all together, don't you? This design has given me a headache. I am going to resume designing tomorrow. Lord help me.
Photopea is a free-to-use online Photoshop clone, and boy is it solid. Apart from being pretty slow to use, which is fair, it has all the capabilities of a program like Photoshop, and it's free.
What I'm not used to is the game ads. I didn't realize that the creators of Photopea have made so many games. No. Oh.
I love Photopea, and I'm very thankful it exists. I made the feature graphic in the exact same way I did in Photoshop, and I love the results. Photopea is a great way to get into photo editing software, and it's just a lot of fun to play around with. Shout out to Photopea. Thank you for everything. I love you. Adobe Express is a mobile design tool. That means you use it on your mobile phone. Has technology gone too far? And what is a mobile phone? I designed a whole post for my Instagram page on Express while seated on the Skybus from Tullamarine Airport once. Does anyone get that reference? Adobe Express is very deep for a mobile application. It feels kind of like a compressed version of both Photoshop and Canva, and it's a nice mix. You can't do everything in Express, but you can do a lot of things and you can do them expressly. I think PowerPoint is the most capable design software in the Microsoft Office suite. You can definitely design with it. I also don't think you understand how much I love the 3D stock library.
Here we go. It's a lovely scene between this chipmunk and my self-portrait that I made in Blender that I've exported into here. But the eyes, none of the materials, I don't know how to sort out the materials, so I had to add on these extra eyes that were on the 3D thing. Looks good.
Here are a few Canva-like programs that are all very similar, so I'm going to rush through them. Piktochart is an online platform that I think is mainly made for infographics based on the Maps tab it offers. It also has the word chart in the name. It is a perfectly fine template-based design tool. It also has no layers tab. The main graphic is more stock assets overlaid on top of each other. We do what we can. We're doing it. VistaCreate, formerly known as Corello, is a web-only template-based design program that operates under the VistaPrint umbrella. It's a pretty solid program. I really like how the main graphic turned out. It's once again stock assets and blending modes, but I particularly liked the assets on offer. No layers panel once again though. absolutely threw me. PosterMyWall is another online platform, but this one has the word poster in it, so I was excited to give it a try because it has the word poster in it. Unfortunately, it didn't offer me much. I think out of all the online design tools, I liked this one the least. It just feels outdated and slow, which I think may be objectively true. The main graphic is just terrible, and I want to apologize to you for making it. The QR code just goes to my YouTube channel, by the way. You can put your phone down. Why make posters for Instagram in programs that aren't Instagram? It makes literally no sense when Instagram is one of the deepest design tools available on the market. I used a poll sticker as the main graphic. Minecraft is an intricate desktop design program disguised as a video game. Similar to Photoshop and Illustrator, you can make things in Minecraft. It also has an expansive stock asset library, much like Canva and Pixlr, in the form of the painting block.
Okay, here's my finished poster.
Let's go right ahead and put Minecraft in S tier for this list of design programs. Wow, Elliot, that was a lot of programs. I hope you don't have any more up your sleeve. Some final thoughts for you. What I learned while filming this video is that there are many capable design programs that could easily replace the Adobe suite I'm so comfortable with. Will I make the change though? Probably not. It took me 4 years of Photoshop to start using Illustrator, so unfortunately I'm pretty stubborn when it comes to the programs I design with. But if I quietly started designing with Inkscape or Affinity, I really don't think people would notice. Design with the program that works best for you and you'll be able to design anything you want soon enough. Now obviously you probably shouldn't be designing a logo for a client in PicMonkey or a raster-based software. Or maybe you're just like me and you turn down every logo client you receive because you're just too scared. And that's fine too. If you're sick of paying Adobe rent, give something else a try. I promise you'll be surprised at how easy some of these programs are to pick up. And if none of these programs work for you, then just do what I did and go get a twin brother and get him to do it all for you. You can't lose in that outcome. And I'm also now realizing I never actually crowned the software I think is best. So I guess if we're going by each bucket, I would say Inkscape and Affinity are tied for the blank slate bucket, while Canva probably still takes the crown of the Canva bucket. And then the silly bucket winner would probably go to QuarkXPress. Hope this video gave you a new and exciting perspective on design software. I also hope you had a silly little laugh. And I also hope to see you next time for some more fun Elliot wackiness. I'm just so silly and funny. I can't help it while making these videos. And finally, another big thank you to NordVPN. Don't forget to give it a try. You get a 30-day money-back guarantee. Just go to nordvpn.com/ElliotVPN to try it out. Oh no, I think I can smell smoke. I think my cake is burning in the oven. Sorry guys, I gotta go, but I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one. See ya. So the reason I said the cake was burning is because I was meant to now go over to the oven, pull out a cake, and on the cake in icing was another poster. And that would have been the final joke. But I just can't do that now. I don't know why. I cannot find the effort to do that. I've worked on this video for too long now. So I hope you understand that that's what it could have been. But I really do appreciate you watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. What video will you watch next on your suggested video list? We don't need to talk about it. All right. I hope you had a good day.